You're watching the Fox Business Network. We're coming into the bottom of the hour. It's a show of U.S. military power and muscle. B-52 bombers headed to the Middle East alongside the USS Lincoln carrier group to counter Iran's threats to U.S. troops. Joining me now is former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. He's Danny Ayalon. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you, Liz.
What's your take on the B-52 bombers headed over there?
Well, I think this is the most effective way to deter Iran. They're masters of bluffing, manipulation, and cheating. But when they encounter force, certainly a superior force, and not just the ability, but also the will to use it, they will back off, and I don't think they have any other options. I believe also that once the Europeans join the sanctions, then they will really have to come up to the negotiation table and to change the very principles of the JCPOA, which was very faulty and gave Iran undue advantages.
Can you spell out the Iranian threat to the world, to U.S. troops, and also Iran's human rights abuses? I mean, the U.S. is now saying it will not be held by the regime's nuclear blackmail. There are reports Iran is threatening U.S. troops, and if Iran threatened to pull out of the deal. What's your reaction to all of what I just asked about?
Yes, well, Iran is no match, and I think certainly to U.S. capability. By the way, Liz, they were no match to Israeli capabilities in Syria, and they have suffered heavily, not only in terms of material loss and their terrorists and soldiers, but also in terms of, I would say, reputation and deterrence here in the Middle East. They have been rendered almost like a paper tiger. So I don't think that they will dare moving head-on against the U.S. or not even Israel. This is why they are using proxies, and they have been very, very good at using proxies, whether it was the Hezbollah or Hamas or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So I think this probably would be their, I would say, their way of operation, and also maybe using terror squads as they have been using in Latin America or in Europe and other places.
Talk to us about the Iron Dome in Israel and the airstrikes over the weekend. We saw reports at least 200 rockets out of the Gaza Strip were intercepted. Hamas is saying no, it beat the Israelis' Iron Dome, that they're flooding your zone with rockets, and that's how they beat it. Talk to us about that.
Well, Liz, all told, Hamas fired 650 rockets on Israel in less than 24 hours. They tried to saturate the skies, but again, most of those rockets were intercepted by the Iron Dome, which have really kept Israel having this leverage, not having to really use excessive force and penetrating into Gaza. So this Iron Force not only is a strategic defense, but it also obviates some ground force operations and doing it more in a cleaner way. And here we have to really thank our best friends and ally, United States of America. And I think that the technology that we developed together with America is saving a lot of Israelis and American troops all over the world.
Israeli ambassador to the U.S., a former Israeli ambassador, Danny Ayalon, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.